Yes, sir. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Denali, aka Don Squally, and today we are back in the garage. We are working on the new daily, and today we are going to be putting on the Don Squally special, where we basically hack the MAF out of the stock airbox and just attach a cone filter. Now, as you guys can see from the title, we did end up getting a pretty cheap filter from wish.com, or I think it's an app. And I ordered two of these filters. I think they were like 20 bucks for two, plus shipping was like $10. So these things are pretty cheap. They don't necessarily feel the greatest, but this is advertised as, I think, like a knockoff K&N. And what I have here is a very dirty but authentic K&N filter. Now, what I think I'm going to do for today's video is just mock up the intake and throw this filter on. I'll probably drive around with it for, I don't know, a couple days until I wash up the legit K&N. That one is just my spare for the G35. But what I want to do in today's video is just show you guys how we're going to hack up this airbox. If you've seen the Altima videos, you've seen the Mazda 3 intake. I think I did a Mustang intake similar to this. You guys are going to know what's up. But I guess for those of you guys who have not been subscribed to the channel for a while, man, stay tuned. We're throwing on that Wish cold air intake on the 1.8 QG, I believe, Nissan Sentra B15, man. So it's going to be interesting. I'm pretty excited to see how this thing sounds. So let's get into it, man. Alrighty, so this is the very dirty 2005 1.8 liter motor. I am going to clean this engine bay up, but it's just really winter here right now where I am. So, you know, I can't wash this engine bay or anything. My hose is completely frozen. But what we are going to do is throw on the intake. So for those of you guys who know, we're going to basically take the intake off here. There's going to be a flat flange piece here. We're going to cut that off and then add our cone plus, I think I'll throw a little piece of intake piping if I have one laying around to try to get the filter to sit over here. And then I'm going to build a heat shield on this one that's going to kind of go right here out of ABS plastic, and that's going to kind of separate the engine heat from the intake heat. We're not going to do any of that intake duct like we have on the G35. You guys remember the intake airbox, we do have an inlet right there that I can plug if it's raining, that goes into the stock airbox right there. We're not getting too crazy on this one. I was going to buy a few parts that would make this thing look a little bit cleaner, but to be honest, I'm just going to use what I have here, and we're going to see if we can make this intake essentially for free, just using parts that I have laying around the garage. So with that being said, I'm going to take this apart and let you guys know what's up. Alrighty, so yanked out the stock airbox, took the MAF off of the little coupler there. As you can see, this is the whole airbox with the inlet duct there and a little resonator for sound. And this is the top of the airbox right here. So what I'm going to do is unbolt this right here, and you can see that there's this flat piece. Just going to cut that off. I'll show you guys how I'm going to do that. And we should be able to stick a little coupler on here that will let us put a filter. Alrighty, so I have the MAF off here. Now, I don't have a Torx bit in order to take the MAF out, but what I am going to do is cut it very slowly with a handsaw here. And what that's going to do is let all of the particles fall to the bottom as opposed to come up. You just want to avoid getting anything on that sensor right there. So very carefully cut off this flat flange piece, and like I say, should be able to add a coupler on there. And as you can see, flange has been cut off. Very carefully sanded that edge. No particles inside, so that's good. So now what I'm going to do is basically put this back on here, and then we're going to be able to add a coupler on here. Now I have this intake that was from the Altima that I parted out not that long ago, so I'm hoping that I can use this little corner section and this coupler here to just kind of get the filter where I want it. And it should look, actually, you know what, I might not even need that long of a piece of pipe. So let me see what else I got kicking around and show you guys what's going on. Alrighty, so I ended up taking the tube that goes to the throttle body off here. I'm going to delete this little tube here. This is another little resonator just for sound. So I'm going to go ahead, plug that hole up, and then put the gear clamp back on there. And then once I get this back on the car like that, you guys can see that I do have the MAF here. And now this is where the reduction comes in. This is, I think, 2.5 to a 3-inch coupler. So that's going to go in here. You can see the little reducer. Once I tighten that up, I'll be able to get my 3-inch little piece of metal here that I'm going to use. And then obviously put our filter on the end there. So I think that's going to work out good. Was able to dig into the box of intake parts. And, you know, luckily we're going to be able to get this thing all on there without having to buy any parts from the hardware store. So I'm happy about that. No Home Depot build today. Alrighty, so just sawed the nub off of that little tube there. As you can see, there is a little kind of indentation to keep this from sucking all the way in. Gonna plug that hole, tighten that gear clamp up. We're gonna be ready to rock, man. Alrighty, so I've got the intake just mocked up in place. As you can see, MAF sensor here with our coupler to a 3-inch pipe. So what I want to do now is just get a piece of plastic. I'm going to make it out of cardboard first. Just a heat shield basically to cover up the intake area, and most of the air will be coming from this little inlet right here. I think that'll be more than enough to keep this heat from going into the intake. So I'm going to go ahead, mock that up real quick, get it cut. And I'm excited to drive this thing, man. I really want to see what this engine sounds like with this big old filter on it. Alrighty, so just mocked up a quick heat shield out of cardboard. I like the way that's sitting. I had to notch it out for the engine mount there, but I think if we cut it maybe a little bit smaller width-wise, and then I can get some rubber hose and put it around the perimeter on the outside and top. I think that's going to work pretty good for what I need it to. I mean, this isn't a race car. I just want it to sound good. That's another reason I didn't put the filter inside the box. So I'm going to go ahead, cut this out of plastic, and we're going to throw this thing on here and take it for a drive, man. Alrighty, so intake is in. As you can see, the heat shield right here. I had to notch it out, like I say, for the motor mount there, but that's quite alright. As you know, heat rises, so I have just a little piece of hose here, hopefully to make a decent seal when the hood closes. I have a little bit of play there, but I think this is going to work out pretty much perfect. Isolate a lot of this section of the engine where you're going to get a lot of the air coming from this intake. So now I think the only thing left to do is take this thing out for a rip, see if the intake sounds any good. Hopefully we didn't mess up our MAF, which I don't think we would have because, like I said, I've done this quite a few times. So I guess we'll get this thing out on the road and see if she can make any new types of sounds, man. Also threw in those 3000K bulbs. Just gonna see if we can get a little sound clip here. Sounded like a little bit of a Honda there, if I don't say so myself. Damn, dude, this thing rips pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, I'm gonna pull up to the stop sign here, see if we can get a little dig happening. Alrighty, I'm just gonna ease into it here in the first. Yeah, boy! That's what I'm talking about. My little racer, baby. So with that being said, I think I'm going to put an end to this video. It looks like my battery's dying. We're racing the friggin' Sentra, man. You know, it just had to be done. Next up, we're going to throw an exhaust on this. So if you guys aren't subscribed, definitely do so. Let me know down in the comments section. Guess we'll get one more little pull here since we're coming up to a stop sign. Guess we'll keep the windows up on this one. That second gear pull, man, that's where it's at. Sounds like we got a little bit of a VTEC crack in there, baby. Yeah, boy. It is your boy Denali, aka Don Squally. I'm pretty pumped on this setup. If you guys liked it, don't forget to smash that like button. We're gonna catch y'all mofos at the next one, man. Peace.